The laughter cracked through the room like something breaking. She won't be getting a penny. Mom never even liked her, my brother yelled, triumph burning in his voice. Someone added loudly, even her own kid knows she's worthless. For a heartbeat, everything inside me went numb. Hi everyone, my name is Celine Ward, and this is the story of how my father's will reading turned into a public execution, and how my 12-year-old son saved me. Beside me, Aiden clenched my hand so tightly, it almost hurt. His jaw was trembling, not in fear, but in fury he didn't know how to hide. I brushed my thumb over his knuckles, silently asking him to breathe. Across the polished table, my older brother Caleb basked in the attention like a performer center stage. My relatives, a row of hungry eyes and hushed whispers, hovered behind him. Not a trace of mourning for my father. Only greed. Only calculation. The lawyer adjusted his glasses and opened a thick envelope. Conversations faded instantly, tension spreading like smoke. Caleb smirked, ready to twist the knife deeper. But then Aiden stood. You missed the video, he left. The room froze mid-breath. Aiden's words hung in the air like a sudden drop in temperature. Caleb's smirk faltered. My aunts exchanged glances. Even the lawyer blinked, surprised. But instead of backing down, my son lifted his chin, calm, steady, braver than any adult in that room. The lawyer cleared his throat. There is a video file, he murmured, flipping through the folder. But we weren't scheduled to. Caleb cut in sharply. We don't need any dramatic nonsense. Dad already made it clear who actually mattered in this family. A ripple of agreement passed through the room. It was always like this. Always. Let me explain. Growing up as a Ward meant everything looked perfect from the outside. Big house, polished smiles, expensive vacations. But inside, the family tree had rot. My mother adored Caleb. My father adored fairness, which my mother saw as betrayal. And me? I was the daughter she never wanted, the reminder of a marriage she couldn't control. After Dad died, the whispers started. She'll get nothing. She never belonged. She should be grateful we even let her attend. I stayed silent, choosing dignity. But my silence was gasoline, and Caleb struck the match today. The lawyer finally connected the USB. The screen lit up. The screen glowed blue for a moment, humming softly as the video loaded. No one breathed. Even Caleb stepped back a little, arms stiff at his sides, as if bracing for a punch he didn't expect. Then my father appeared on the screen, not sick, not frail, but clear-eyed, steady, and very aware of what he was about to say. If you're watching this, it means I'm gone, and certain people in this room are already circling like vultures. A few relatives shifted uncomfortably. Caleb's jaw tightened. Dad continued, before the formal reading, I want the truth on record. And I know some of you won't like it. Especially you, Caleb. A low, stunned murmur rippled across the room. My heart thudded. My father never confronted Caleb when he was alive. Their conflict lived in the shadows, mutual resentment, sharp comments behind closed doors. And now here Dad was exposing everything on camera. Caleb tried to recover. This is manipulation. He probably recorded it when he wasn't thinking straight. But Dad's next sentence hit like a hammer. This video exists because I knew my daughter Celine would be attacked the moment I couldn't protect her. And I refused to let that happen. Gasps. Silence. Aiden squeezed my hand, triumph burning in his eyes. Dad leaned closer to the camera. Now, let's talk about the truth you all avoided. My father's recorded stare was so sharp it felt like he was still in the room, cutting through every lie that had been growing in this family for decades. First, Dad said, folding his hands, Celine was never the outsider you all painted her to be. She was the only one who showed up for me, in every hospital visit, in every hard moment, in every quiet night when I wondered if family meant anything anymore. My aunts looked down. My uncle shifted, uncomfortable. But Caleb burned. Dad continued, voice steady but cold. And while she was caring for me, Caleb was siphoning money from my business accounts. Yes, son, I knew. Every dollar. Every loan you said you'd replace. You never did. A collective gasp detonated across the room. Caleb exploded. That's a lie. He doesn't know what he's talking about. The lawyer raised a hand. Sit down, Mr. Ward. But Dad wasn't done. And as for your mother, she spent years telling me Celine wasn't mine. She knew it was a lie. I knew it was a lie. Yet she fed that poison to all of you. My chest tightened. Aiden stared at me in disbelief. Not at me, but at them. Dad leaned in, eyes fierce. Today, you will all hear exactly what you've earned and what you haven't. The screen flickered. The screen dimmed for a moment, and in the silence that followed, I felt every pair of eyes crawling across my skin. Except Aiden's. He held my hand like he was anchoring me to the floor. Dad's voice returned, softer now, not weaker, just deliberate. Celine, if they're attacking you right now, I want you to remember this. You are the only light in this house. The only one who didn't treat love like a currency. My throat tightened. I saw the way my family shifted, the guilt they never expected to face publicly. Then Dad's tone changed, colder, calculating. So, here's the part they're waiting for, my final decisions. Caleb straightened, ready to claim victory. My relatives leaned in like spectators at an execution. But inside me, something shifted. A calmness. A clarity. For years I let them push me down because I didn't want Aiden growing up in war. But today, watching them recoil from truth, I felt the sting of every humiliation transform into fuel. Dad continued. This will wasn't written to reward bloodlines. It was written to reward loyalty, honesty, and humanity, things many of you abandoned a long time ago. The room buzzed with unease. And in that moment, I understood. Revenge wasn't about striking back. It was about letting the truth do the cutting. Dad cleared his throat. Let's start with Caleb. Dad's image steadied on the screen, and when he spoke again, his voice carried a precision that sliced deeper than any shout Caleb could muster. Caleb Ward receives nothing. Gasps burst around the room. Someone dropped a pen. My aunt clutched her chest. Dad continued, unwavering. You stole from me, lied to me, and treated your sister with cruelty I will never forgive. Consider this my final boundary. Caleb shot up from his chair. What the hell is this? You manipulated him, he yelled at me, spit flying. But for the first time in my life, I didn't flinch. The lawyer calmly replied, Sit down, Mr. Ward. The video is legally sealed and timestamped. Dad went on. As for the rest of you who laughed, whispered, and contributed to the cruelty, you will receive the bare minimum required by law. Nothing more. Stunned silence. Then came the shift, the part that made the entire room go still. Dad leaned closer to the camera, eyes softening. Everything else, the house, the investments, the land, all of it goes to my daughter Celine and my grandson Aiden. They were my real family. They earned my legacy. My breath caught. Aiden squeezed my hand so tightly it almost hurt, his eyes shining. The room erupted. Anger, disbelief, panic. But underneath it all was something sweeter. Fear. Chaos detonated instantly. My aunt shot to her feet, shouting that Dad wasn't in his right mind. My uncle demanded the will be reevaluated. And Caleb looked like a man watching his entire kingdom crumble in real time. This is fraud, he barked at the lawyer. She tricked him. She had to. But the lawyer remained steady. Your father recorded this message alongside his notarized will. Everything was verified months before his passing. Caleb's fury twisted into something uglier, desperation. He slammed his fist onto the table. I'm contesting this. You hear me, Celine? I'll drag you through court until you have nothing left. Aiden stepped forward before I could stop him. You already took everything from my mom. You don't get to take this too. The room fell eerily still. My relatives stared, not at me, but at my son, as if seeing him for the first time. Caleb's voice cracked with hatred. You think you've won? I finally spoke, calm as ice. No, Caleb. I didn't have to win. Dad already saw who you were and who I was. His face twisted. This isn't over. But then the lawyer slid a final envelope across the table. For Celine only, he said. Your father's last instruction. My heartbeat quickened. My fingers trembled as I opened the final envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter, unmistakably my father's script, bold and steady. The room watched, breathless, as I unfolded it. My Celine, if you're reading this, then the truth has finally been spoken aloud. But there is one more thing they do not know, something I kept hidden until now. My heart thudded. Dad's voice echoed in my head as I read his words. Years ago, when Caleb began draining my accounts, I started quietly moving assets, not just money, but ownership of my company, properties, and investments, into a trust under your name. The will only confirms what was already yours. They cannot contest what they never knew existed. A cold, stunned wave swept across the room. Caleb's face drained of color. A trust? No. No, that's impossible. The lawyer nodded. It's already active. Irrevocable. Dad's final lines were simple. You were the one who stayed. The one who cared. Build a life without their shadows. And teach Aiden what real family looks like. I love you, Dad. Tears spilled silently down my cheeks, not from pain this time, but release. I folded the letter and finally looked at my family. This ends today. Caleb stormed out. Others followed. Aiden hugged me tightly. We're free now, Mom, for the first time in years. I believed it,